Good evening and welcome to the Putnam County Board of Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, May 20th. And we'll call this meeting to order at exactly 6 p.m. We're on time today. Thank you for being here. And the first order of business is approval of the agenda. Could I have a motion, please? Is there a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion for the approval of the agenda? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote electronically. Voting is complete. Districts 1, 2, 3, and 4 vote yea. The agenda has been approved. The first thing today is our invocation, and we're pleased to have Commissioner Jeff Luke lead us in our invocation. Jeff?
Please bow your head, please. Lord, thank you for everything you've done for us, and thank you for the good people that we got up here willing to serve at this county in the capacity that they do. Thank you for the people that have showed up and give their opinions on things and to help us through making the right decisions. And thank you for the previous administrations that have gotten us where we are today. Thank you also for putting us in a good city, county, state, and country where we can make our own decisions and get through life with a relatively easy way. We're making a thank you for the young people that are showing up here tonight, that have put up a present that we're going to present an award to, that they have put the effort forward to do their lives better. And Lord, we just thank you for every day that we are here. And amen. Thank you.
Amen. Okay, if you'd all stand, and we'll ask Commissioner Wood once again to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda gives me great pleasure. Scott Haley, if you would bring the 8-year-old girls all-star basketball team and all your coaches, bring them forward. I'm going to ask the board to come down with you. And Paul, if you could read the presentation, please.
Whereas the 2025 Putnam County Recreation Under-8 Girls All-Star Basketball Team, led by head coaches Tracy Harper, Clyde Harper, and Laney Crowder, has a membership of 10 girls: Rains Coxwell, Cadence Crawford, Caroline Joy Crowder, Aubrey Diaz, Rain Harper, Kennedy Hicks, Isla Kononitz, Kelly Mendez, Paisley Neese, Taraji Waller. And whereas the 2025 Putnam County Recreational Under-8 Girls All-Star Basketball League competed in the state tournament held in Washington County, Georgia on March 7th and 8th, 2025, had an overall record of 3 wins and 0 losses, defeating Washington County, Gilmer County, and Temple to win the 2025 Georgia Recreation and Park Association Under-8 Girls Class C Basketball State Championship. And whereas the citizens of Putnam County are proud of the team's performance and the way in which they have represented our county, now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of Commissioners of Putnam County does hereby commend and congratulate the 2025 Putnam County Recreation 8 and Under Girls All-Star Basketball Team for their outstanding achievement, proclaimed this 20th day of May, 2025. Board of Commissioners of Putnam County, Chairman Sharp, Commissioner McElhaney, Commissioner Garrett, Commissioner Hersey, Commissioner Wooten.
Congratulations. Folks, it's great to have a recreation folks that did such a wonderful job, and these young people are great. It always does us good to give them a little pat on the back. They certainly deserve it. Next on the list is a zoning public hearing, and I'll now open the zoning public hearing. We have two items tonight, I believe. The first is item number 6. Request by Dennis and Rebecca Hitchcock to rezone 11 acres at 109 Elmwood Road from R2 to AG. It's map 109, part of parcel 026, district number 3. Lynn or Mercy, do we have anybody signed up? Signed up for 6. Yeah. Sorry, I thought it was close. Okay, we have 3 people that are signed up to speak, and we'll go, each will have 3 minutes, and we'll have come in the order they're signed in. First is Cheryl Williams. Cheryl?
Good evening. I'm actually planning to read a letter from another one of our neighbors. She could not be here tonight, and she asked if I would do this for her. Thanks to the Board of Commissioners for reviewing the proposed rezoning application for 109 Elmwood Road property. I am a concerned resident of the Deer Run Point neighborhood, which connects to Elmwood Estates. Because I am out of town on business, I have asked another neighbor to read my statement. I am opposed to the zoning change for the following reasons. While I appreciate that the Hitchcock family has a love of gardening, it is my belief that they would be still able to accomplish their goals by having a large vegetable and flower garden on their property without the need to change the zoning on the property. The only reason why the family has 12 acres is because they put together 2 separate lots that were known at the time of the sale to be zoned as residential. While Mr. Hitchcock at the May 8th meeting stated that there were other AG zoned lots adjacent to his, no other residents of those properties are engaged in farming of any kind. Many families in our area have gardens. I believe there is also no specific restriction on having an apiary. Given that the Hitchcocks have 12 acres, there is plenty of room for a large garden area on their property without any detrimental effect on surrounding neighbors. They already have a very large garage shop building that would accommodate any gardening tractors or equipment. We have 2 local farmers markets to facilitate the sale of their produce or flowers. At the May 8th meeting with the Putnam Planning Zoning Commission, Mr. Hitchcock said that he was intending to eventually apply for conservation status for their property. But before he could do that, it was required to be zoned agricultural. This may actually be their primary long-term reason for their interest in rezoning. This conservation use valuation provides for substantial property tax benefits that are not available otherwise. In closing, we feel that having a farm in the neighborhood is not consistent with the use of property in our area. The Hitchcocks may feel that they have moved out into the country, but their Elmwood Road actually connects to 162 other residential properties on Pinewood, Woodhaven, Hazelwood, and Elmwood Road. An AG status would mean that more storage buildings or a nursery building could be built, which could erode the value of property for other homes. Thank you for listening to my concerns. And the Planning and Zoning Commission voted against this proposal at their meeting, and we're hoping they will do the same.
Thank you, Cheryl. Next on the list is Bill Argano.
Good evening, everyone. As you all know, I'm a retired farmer and I like my agriculture. I haven't looked into this in depth, other than I looked at the map tonight, and I noticed that there's probably maybe 100 acres, give or take, across the road, directly across the road from this parcel you're talking about that is agriculture. So I don't see where this 12-acre parcel, or 14, whatever it exactly is gonna be detrimental to their neighborhood, other than what could possibly happen across the road in that agriculture zoned area. Also, some people maybe look at that conservation program as something evil. Well, it's not. They got to sign up for it for a 10-year period of time, and so they can't turn it into anything other than agriculture. So they couldn't turn it into, say, a trailer park with tiny homes in it, or something of that sort. So they're pretty well stuck with it for 10 years unless they want to pay a tax penalty at the end of the year. Sure, there's tax benefits, but that goes along with being in agriculture, being a farmer. Farmers do get tax. I don't want to use the word abatements, but they do get tax privileges that commonplace doesn't get. But I would like to see some of this land. The whole county at one time was agriculture. If you would have zoned it back from day one, and I think all they really want to do is put it back to agriculture. I don't see where a flower farm it should be beautiful. Would ruin the neighborhood or make it look bad. Now, there's other agricultural things that they could probably put in that would, but I don't believe that'd be their intent in this situation. So I'd like to see you guys put some of this unwanted residential property back into agriculture as requested. That doesn't happen too often, but I'd like to see that done. I think these people will take care of it. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Next on the list is Barb Argo. Barb?
Deja vu. I had the same situation happen to us. We took property and combined it together to order to ask for it to be egg zoned. My problem with this is it says in here something about cattle. You're worried about hoofs on the ground. Well, we have that anyways, and it's called deer. So I don't understand. We are going right now to discuss two properties, flipping them both around. One wants to go back to egg, one wants to go to residential so they can put more properties on there. Put it back to the egg. If you guys want something that says don't put cattle on it, make an exception to the rule on that. But I understand that they're gonna need more buildings. The way it is right now, they can only have a building certain size to meet the size of their house. So if they need more buildings, which I understand, they're gonna get it. And as far as putting this to the conservative, yeah, they have to be egg in order to do that, and I think it's only right. If we are going to start changing things from egg to residential, let's put another one back to egg. Let's show people that we can do it both ways.
Thank you. I'm looking, and Dennis or Rebecca Hitchcock did not sign in. Are they here? I want to make sure they have an opportunity to speak.
I forgot to sign up.
Okay, so you're not,
She forgot to sign up.
I forgot to sign up.
if you want to speak, you have the right.
Okay, yes. Thank you.
I asked that because your name was not there, and if you will sign in,
Yes,
you're welcome to speak.
I forgot to mention the 155 acres of eggs on this county. Make commercial.
Go ahead, take the mic.
Thanks.
Well, my husband's not here. He's out of town on business, and I honestly forgot to sign up. He did it last time. You had advised us at the last meeting that we did not line up with the Putnam County Comprehension Plan. On page 1 of the comprehension plan on the county's website is the county's statement of family-oriented community built on robust and past in a rich literal history and natural resources dedicated to maintain our small town charm while actively promoting cultural diversity, economic growth throughout the county. We're requesting our property or part of the property to be rezoned as ag so we could do a smaller flower farm. Not only does this help the plan, providing natural resources, but it also helps our community by buying local. Most of our flowers are sold in the U.S. or imported from Colombia, Ecuador, Mexico. The disadvantage of importing flowers are that they use a lot of pesticides, artificial chemicals, diseases that threaten the U.S. horticulture. The majority of our neighbors are supporting our decision to rezone to ag, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 people. One concern was increased traffic that we don't think will be affected at all, since we do plan on going the majority like farmers market and event centers, or maybe even some florist stores if we ever get that big. If we stay R2 and decided to build additional houses on the property, then traffic would increase on a daily basis, and I'm sure my neighbors would not like that, coming in and out of the neighborhood. We don't plan on putting any large livestock. We would like to get some chickens, small game animals, maybe some rabbits at the most, but I don't want to round up cattle, so they have nothing to worry about. And that's it. So we appreciate if you consider that. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's all that has signed up. I'll ask the staff for the recommendation from planning and zoning.
Staff recommendation is for denial to rezone 11 acres at 109 Elmwood Drive from R2 to AG map 109, part of parcel 026 in District 3.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the recommendation.
It was for denial.
For denial.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay, gentlemen, at this point, I can call for a motion, and then of course it can be discussed after it's made, motion, seconded. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chairman, this is
Commissioner Hershey.
This is a District 3 issue.
Yes.
Consistent with the staff recommendation and the recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Board or Commission, I move to deny the rezoning of 11 acres at 109 Elmwood Road from R2 to AG, map 109, part of parcel 026.
We have a motion on the floor for denial. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there further discussion? In District 3, you have the right to any discussion you have.
Let me just say that as a general problem, once a property is rezoned, we cannot rescind that rezoning. It stays there basically forever until the property owner decides to change the zoning. Once we do an ag zoning, any allowed use in the agricultural zone is allowed. And regardless of intent, there can be cows, there can be all kinds of things as allowed under that particular zone. And so I have moved to deny the rezoning, and as I said, it's consistent with the recommendation of staff and the unanimous vote of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Is there other discussion?
I just like to
Commissioner Wood?
I'd just like to find out what, it says part of parcel 026. What is the total acreage on, I'd like to know what the total acreage is on the whole, parcel 026.
Yes, sir, they have 12.96 acres.
It was 12.92 if I heard you right.
12.96 total acres.
Other discussion, Commissioner?
Courtney, can you speak to, as currently zoned, what are the business restrictions for the current occupancy? Insofar as they want to get into, say, growing flowers and selling them, what would be the restrictions on them doing that under the current zone?
So I would have to research that and check for sure what the allowed uses are for a home business, because it's zone residential, to give you that information, to see what is allowed currently.
I believe Lisa I see her walking forward.
So to add to Courtney's statement, she is right, she would need to actually go and look to see, but for a home business, typically that's an office, home office. So they would not be allowed to have the actual use of having the garden in relation to, for sale of the produce. That's typically, associated with agriculture.
And that's regardless of whether the sale takes place on the property or elsewhere.
Right.
Other questions? Yes, Mr. Wood?
Take advantage of my second time.
Yes.
Now, I'm just having a hard time with this now. If I had, let's say I had enough land to have chickens on a lot. If I didn't have an actual business, I could not sell the eggs anywhere.
If your zoning allows you to, you would have to have agricultural property to have the chickens.
Oh, okay.
So if you have agricultural property, yes, you could, you can have the ordinance, states that you can actually have a produce stand in agriculture. So yes, if it was agriculture, you would be able to do that, but you can't in residential. The chickens wouldn't be allowed in residential.
But is an acre? Can I
So
continue?
So the minimum lot size in ag is 5 acres
Mhm.
in ag, but not, in that doesn't apply to the residential.
Okay.
Did I answer it?
Yeah, you got it. I got it. Thank you now.
Other, yes, Commissioner.
And just to clarify the reason behind the denial and reference to the land use plan, tell me if this is accurate. So my understanding is that because of the general trend in favor of more and more residential properties in that area, and the county anticipating more and more demand over time, and therefore there's a sense that essentially all the land in this area is going to gradually switch to residential. And there's the logic from the county's point of view is to try and allocate certain parts of the county for certain uses rather than end up with a sort of hodgepodge of different uses that, I sympathize with the idea that it might be in and of itself no objection to this kind of business. Maybe it could complement the neighborhood, but I understand Commissioner Hersey's point of ending up with a mess of zoning that is very hard to untangle and there may be unintended consequences. But I'm essentially right that it's no objection to the business idea or the value of agriculture in the county as a whole. It's simply the trajectory of this particular part of the county that is moving away from agriculture, and we don't want to contradict ourselves.
Correct. The development patterns in that area, correct.
Commissioner Michael, hang on.
That was actually the question I had. Thank you.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the Hitchcocks could apply for a conditional use to have a flower farm, and that would be the single use that they would be allowed to have under a conditional use. And once that conditional use is abandoned or changed, they would no longer be allowed. For instance, that they couldn't switch from a flower and vegetable growing, area to raising cows or chickens or goats or llamas for that matter. If they have a conditional use.
Correct, they could apply for a conditional use.
So that they would have the ability to, and a conditional use does not come to the Board of Commissioners.
It does, it's handled the same as a rezoning.
As rezoning.
Yes.
Then I will call for the question. And the motion on the floor is to deny the request by Dennis and Rebecca Hitchcock to rezone 11 acres, as it says here, at 109 Elmwood Road from R2 to AG to Ag. It's map 109, part of the parcel 026 in District 3. You can vote electronically. Voting is complete. Districts 1, 2, 3, and 4 vote aye. The request has been denied. Moving along to number 7, this is still part of the zoning public hearing. Is anyone signed up to speak on? No one is signed up. This is a request by Joe Hudson and Lois Shell to rezone 10.27 acres on Lake Shore Drive from AG to R1, map 056, parcel 003027 in District 4. Commissioner Wooten, do you have a motion? Oh, I'm sorry. We need to hear from the staff. Pardon me, my fault.
Staff recommendation is for approval to rezone 10.27 acres on Lake Shore Drive from AG to R1, map 056, parcel 003027 in District 4.
Okay, now we're ready for a motion.
Yes, sir. I'd like to make a motion to approve the request by Joe Hudson and Lois Shell to rezone 10.27 acres on Lake Shore Drive from Ag to R1, map 056, parcel 003027 in District 4.
Call for a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there discussion? Commissioner.
Go ahead.
Well, you have the right.
Okay.
You made the motion.
I'm very familiar with this parcel of land. It was bought years ago, and it is developing. It's no lakefront. It's all the residential all around that. So I think this is going to be a good move to go back to but as it comes along, and I think it might be some more agricultural down there. I'm not sure, but this needs to be residential to accommodate everybody around there. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Garrett.
Just to build on that, this is essentially, from the county's point of view, the reverse logic of the previous case, where this is trending residential, the desired rezoning is aligned, and that's why it's staff recommend approval.
Right, correct. That's absolutely correct.
Other discussion? Hearing?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner.
Lisa, what are the lot size restrictions on an R1 lot?
So it depends on whether or not, that there's water and sewer down there, and I would have to research that. So if
There is no sewer, I'm sure. Water.
It is water.
it was 1.69 acres.
So basically, two to the acre, or a little bit less.
A little bit less than 2, right?
So it is not high density housing. It is.
And again, if it's over 4, they would have to, install roads, so that's gonna cut back on some of their lots as well.
It will be over 4, I'm sure. I mean, I've seen the plan.
Any other discussion? I'll repeat the motion. The motion on the floor is a request by Joe Hudson and Lois Shell to rezone 10.27 acres on Lakeshore Drive from AG to R1, map 056, parcel 003027 in District 4. And the motion is to approve. You may vote electronically. Voting is complete. Districts 1, 2, 3, and 4 vote aye. You have the request is granted to rezone the 10.27 acres.
Thank you.
Then thank you, Joe. This will bring to a conclusion our zoning public hearing, and we thank you all for your input. Moving now to item number 8. This is an ordinance public hearing, and let me read it to you. It's proposed adoption of changes to the Putnam County Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Administration, and Chapter 18, Building and Building Regulations. We need to put that up so everyone can see. Okay, as those go up, did anyone sign in to speak on that? No one has signed in to speak. So thank you, Lynn. We've got the codes up there. Is there something that shows the changes? In fact, this is all new. Everything there is new. If you're ready, we'll get a motion on the floor in a second, then we can discuss it if there is. Do I hear a motion to approve these ordinance changes as shown on the screen?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the to adopt the changes in Putnam County Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Administration, and Chapter 18, Buildings and Building Regulations.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Now discussion. Commissioner Hersey, you made a motion.
I should probably turn over the discussion to our county attorney who has crafted these ordinances. But the Chapter 2 change in the administrative portion of the ordinance is to create the Recreation Committee. We have discussed this in the past. The board has decided to retain a certain amount of control over the recreation department, but allowing some recommendations coming from a committee, I presume to be appointed by the chairman, although there is specific language in the ordinance as to the particular board members coming from each of the districts. The one thing that has changed from our previous discussion that I would ask the board to think about and maybe perhaps discuss is that in the original version of this, the committee was to form a 501c3 nonprofit entity in order to be able to garner grants in regard to recreation activities. That 501c3 has now become an option for the committee, so I don't know if the board wishes to leave it as an option or whether they would like to see it formally committed by the committee to forming a nonprofit entity. But other than that, I would leave it up to the county attorney if there's any innuendos of this.
I didn't hear any innuendos, but no, you got it. The body has discussed it at length, and I think the attempt is to both allow more communication from the public as to how your recreation services are provided, and also advise this body on how you will deliver those services. Just to be clear, you're not relinquishing any power under this ordinance. Instead, you're creating a system by which you receive feedback. So, and as for chapter 18, those changes, that is we've discussed that one as well. That's a state statute that allows us as a county to step in when a property is not being properly maintained, or there's some other problem that's causing not only issues with the property that is affected, but also those surrounding properties. It basically follows the state process by which you are allowed to go onto the property, make the necessary changes, have the costs brought against that property in the same way that a tax lien is done, and be compensated in the same manner as tax lien. So quite frankly, it's surprising we didn't have this one in place already, but now you do, and you don't have to do it in every circumstance, but it gives you the option. If we find a piece of property that needs some attention, you as the Board of Commissioners can now move on that property and remedy those issues.
If I understand it, we're just meeting the state requirement.
The ordinance that you'll be putting in place is almost exactly in line with the state, which is what you're allowed to do to begin with. The state sets the regulations, and you'll be hewing very close to those.
Other discussion or questions? Mr. Gary?
Just on the blight ordinance, if I can use that word, just clarify then, have we been out of state compliance, or we simply opted in to become compliant, as it were, or just become consistent?
Right, opted in. So if this legislator says that if you want to address these problems, this is the way in which you have to do it. And I would tell you that not every jurisdiction has these in place, but if you decide to do it, this is the way in which you have to do it.
So meaning, short of adoption, we have no means to tackle these issues?
You do. You would be able to use the normal enforcement methods for compliance with county codes. The problem is you would not be able to effectuate the improvement yourself. So now you are allowed to enter on the property, make the necessary repair, and then you can recover the costs with that through the same way you do taxes. The personal experience I've had with this ordinance is typically in a burned home where someone has gotten the insurance proceeds and then left. And you have an abandoned, burned property. There's nobody to actually code enforce against because the property is otherwise vacant. This would allow us to go on, fix the property, at least bulldoze it, and then attach a lien and then collect against that lien the same way you would if for unpaid taxes. But you could also use it for other problems too. I think the specific instance that we're involved in this case, there's a house that has been, I think it's had roof damage. It's in Commissioner either Hersey or Wooten's district that has had, it's just been for a very long time. And so now we will be able as a commission to make a choice about whether or not we're going to step in and repair that and get compensated in the same way. So no, you're not out of compliance. It's just if you decide to do it, you will. And I don't know how many jurisdictions have it versus don't, but my assumption is a majority do, but they usually don't think about it until these situations present themselves.
Thank you. And just to clarify further, my understanding is that the city of Eatonton has what I think of as a blight tax. Is this in some sense equivalent to that, or distinct?
They use the same words, but no. So the blight tax, I'd have to have the state statutes in front of me. They're probably pretty close in the definitions, but they're different entities or different ways of regulation. In this case, you would not be increasing the taxes like you would in the blight tax. Instead, you're just defining the term blight in which you can move against those properties. So it wouldn't have any impact on their assessment or any penalties, anything like that.
Okay, thank you.
Other discussion? Commissioner?
I'd just like to ask a question. If somebody's living in the house and they got storm damage and they're not financially able to fix it and they temporarily put a tarp over the top of it. How is that going? And they living in the house. How is that? How would you proceed in that?
So the good news is this ordinance, and like most ordinances, involves the magistrate judge. So you guys are not the ones who make the decision. You have a judicial entity in place to decide, can we wield the power to go on the property and fix it? If there's a hardship or a circumstance that we all need to move forward, you as a commission would make the first choice to move forward, but ultimately you stand before the magistrate judge. And if someone has extenuating circumstances, it's not an enviable position, but that's what the judge is there for. And the judge could put that relief in a way where they give an opportunity for the person to make the repairs on their own before the judge actually says, county, you can move forward. So there's a human element to it, I'll put it that way. Now, obviously, sometimes if you give a little bit of time and you see some progress, the judge could check in and then eventually it gets fixed, or unfortunately, sometimes that doesn't happen, and you're putting it in the judge's hands to be the person to make the ultimate decision.
Now, second question, would this be through code enforcement or the sheriff's department?
Well, we would start it sort of in a similar way as the code enforcement process, but you go the same route. So under your ordinances, you could go to either magistrate or state court because of your local act. And getting it started could be either entity. I think we've been using the sheriff's department for most of our citations, but we coordinate with them through staff to get it served and then move on to magistrate court.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions, Commissioner?
Let me just reiterate Mr. Nelson's comments. There are a number of protections for the property owner involved in this. The first is the decision that the property does represent a health or safety risk and needs to be corrected. The second step would be file with the court, either magistrate or state court, and then the judge would make a decision as to whether the judge wishes to order the repair or replacement of the property. So, and there will be a certain amount of time provided for the owner to accomplish the judicial order, the order of the court. And if that does not happen within the time frame that the court has given, now the county, under this ordinance, the county can step in and effect the repair. Before that, if the judge orders a repair to be done, the county could not step in and effect the repair or be compensated for whatever cost it occurs to the county. The entity can simply ignore the court order, be held in contempt of court, perhaps even end up in jail. But the county cannot intervene in that process if we don't have this ordinance. The other thing about this ordinance is that it is not strictly up to the commission or planning and development to issue a complaint. Any 5 citizens can sign a complaint about a particular property, and then the director or her designee will validate that complaint and decide whether it is a valid complaint or not before issuing a citation and going to court on the matter. So there are a number of protections for the property owner involved in this ordinance. And the state takes it very seriously about intervening in a property owner's rights. So this ordinance follows very closely the state statutes that are required and all the steps that are required for intervening on behalf of the county to effect a repair or replacement of a particular property.
Other comments? Commissioner McElhaney?
So if we go down this road with this, I'm not saying we shouldn't, Lisa, do you anticipate any increases in investigations? Do you know? Anybody thought about that?
Increases in what now?
In investigations as a result of this?
No.
Okay. I just wonder if they uptake, whether we might need to add some staff for you.
We probably will have to do it. We're gonna have to do that regardless, so yeah.
Okay.
Commissioner Garrett?
Just to turn to the other ordinance change, in case anyone's curious, can someone just speak to the process for selecting members of this recreation committee? It refers to another chapter in the code.
Members. Right, that plays like.
So Commissioner, for y'all's appointment to boards, you have a standard procedure for all of your boards that you run certain notices in the newspaper, and I think most of those have a document that we get from the clerk, and so you're basically running those in the same way. So the same way you would for your planning commission appointments, any committee that you put together, and specifically, it's a 14-day publish in the legal organ. It is spreadsheet format list to all from the clerk, and then we place it on an agenda item, and then it has the procedure by which you as commissioners make those appointments. So it's just basically in the same fashion.
So essentially, any member of the public who might be interested should look out for that advertisement in the coming weeks.
Correct.
Thank you.
I believe everyone's had their turn unless Commissioner McElhaney, you really so. Then I will call for the question and request the vote. And we are voting to adopt the changes shown to Putnam County Code of Ordinance, Chapter 2 and Chapter 8, which is the building regulation. 18. I'm not looking at it right. Vote electronically. Voting is complete. Districts 1, 2, 3, and 4 vote aye. The motion carries. So we have adopted those changes. That will close our ordinance on public hearing, and now we'll move to the regular business meeting. 9 is public comments. Are there anyone signed up for public comments? And we have some, so we'll start at the top and go down. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Aaron Olson.
Commissioners, I believe the last town hall meeting on the Goodwill project brought out big concerns. The PDA is made up of volunteers, not elected officials. By law, these volunteers have the power to strap the Putnam County taxpayers with enormous expense to benefit any developer they choose. It became very clear that the reason for the 24-year tax abatement was for the developer profits. Additionally, the PDA continues to use the revenue from the commercial portion of the project to justify the tax abatement that will only apply to the residential rental houses in the project. There is no upside for you to sign the MOU because once this project fails, the voters will blame you. Let the PDA fall on this sword alone. If the PDA insists on moving forward, even when the Board of Education and many citizens adamantly disapprove, we should, 1, defund the authority of the $100,000 that enables them to push county services for almost 200 homes onto the taxpayers for the sake of developer profits. 2, we need you to push the change in local legislation that would require approval from you, our elected officials, before the PDA approves any tax abatement, thus giving back our voices through our elected officials, not a volunteer board that does not answer to the voters. Number 3, using the PDA marketing study and their analysis that only 16 students will enroll in Putnam County school system, suggests to the PDA a condition that once 16 students are registered at any Putnam County school, the abatement stops. This would satisfy the main opposition between taxpayers and the PDA's differing opinions on the associated cost for the taxpayers. It is time for the PDA and Southeastern to put their money where their mouth is and let them take the financial risk. I believe this condition is fair, and if they refuse to accept it, we will know how confident or not they are in their analysis. Last night I attended the Republican Legislative Forum, and our representative Trey Rhodes mentioned that the DOT plans to install turn lanes to ease the traffic on Highway 44. He was made aware of the developments in the Scott Road Triangle, and he said, and I quote, "We don't have the infrastructure for it." As traffic continues to increase in the Scott Road Triangle, the Board of Commissioners should start preparing and budgeting for police to direct traffic at the intersections of Highway 44 and Scott Road at the Harmony Road intersections. Traffic congestion is already a significant issue, and the additional development will make it much worse. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the list is Jennifer Ray.
Lynn, are you able to put my pictures up? Okay. Great. That's just one small section. Okay, in regards to our road conditions in this blast that you guys are going to be discussing shortly, our county manager is recommending $1.1 million for our golf course, which includes over $518,000 to replace the irrigation system. In comparison, only $462,000 is proposed for roads in the SPLOST 10 project list. That raises a significant concern. What is wrong with this picture? It is evident that our county manager has a preference for golf, but such a level of irresponsibility is unacceptable. There are over 460 miles of road in our county, that's excluding the city, that we're not responsible for. And the T-SPLOST funds are allocated every 6 years, which is insufficient to keep up with the necessary paving. The dire condition of many roads, including Sunfish Trail, serves as a clear example of this problem. T-SPLOST number 2 has a contract to pave 72 miles of road, but we are still falling short. If we apply those numbers logically, it indicates that we would need 38 years to pave all of our roads. With our county's growing population, it is unrealistic to expect that any road paving project would last that long. Therefore, the allocation for road funds must be reevaluated, and it is clear that our golf course should not receive any SPLOST funds. Despite sending multiple emails to my commissioner, Jeff Wooten, regarding the state of the roads and attached pictures, I have not received a response. To highlight the issue, I've even brought pieces of the road crumbling from Sunfish Trail as a visual aid, which I will present after for him to have. The properties on Sunfish Trail are valued at over $12 million. There's about 30 lake homes there in the lake lots. Their owners are paying significant taxes while being forced to drive on a deteriorating road. And it's worth noting that I do not even live on this road, but I believe it's crucial to bring attention to its condition because it's not unlike many others that are in this county. Thank you.
I'm going to hand you this copy.
Thank you.
Since you can't make it out, there you go. Yes, don't mistake it for popcorn, please. Well, your dentist might not care, but.
Next on the list is Lily Parham. Did I get that right? Lily Parham.
Ready? Hi, my name is Lily Parham. I live in Thunder Valley and walk up public. I am autistic. I'm scared. I like to walk in my neighborhood and sometimes walk my dog. I sometimes walk up to Dollar General to buy stuff or to the post office to mail a letter. I'm scared that there's going to be so much traffic in my neighborhood that I will not be able to do the things I want. I don't think it's fair that you let this many cars and trucks come through my neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the list is Brian Adams.
Hello and good evening. I own the house at 104 Thunder Road where the development is going in, and was out of town last week and basically came back to see that the lot next door is being excavated to put in a some type of a drainage area holding tank. I feel like this is gonna hurt the value of my property, and I've also been told that, you know, there was discussion of having the road from the commercial property area basically dump out right in front of my driveway. It's difficult as far as getting out on the 44 here today, and I don't feel like there should be any commercial type property that gets dumped through the neighborhood. That's all I got.
Thank you. Next on the list is Renee Burgdorf. Renee?
Good evening, I'm Renee Bergdorf, President of Thunder Valley Owners Association. 10 Thunder Valley residents met last week in this very room with Mr. Burgess, the developer of Thunder Point, and Tracy Sutherland, real estate agent, and we appreciated their willingness to share his plans in detail. We really did. During this conversation, residents proposed several alternatives to keep the traffic off of Thunder Road in Riverside. However, Mr. Burgess had an explanation on every scenario we presented as to why these changes could not be considered. We were told GDOT will not allow access from Highway 44 into the commercial development, except for at the Scott Road extension. Also, we were told GDOT is requiring him to connect the Scott Road extension all the way to Riverside, requiring it. So the very next day, after our conversation, Wednesday, May 14th, we spoke with Mr. Kedrick Collins, District Traffic Engineer with Georgia Department of Transportation. And Mr. Collins stated two things. GDOT will allow access from the commercial development to Highway 44. GDOT will allow, as long as it meets the current driveway manual. He second said, GDOT does not require Scott Road to be extended all the way to Riverside Drive, does not. He said, GDOT is only concerned with the intersection of Scott Road and Highway 44, and beyond that, it's up to Putnam County, the developer, and the residents, which is consistent with GDOT's message that was told to Thunder Valley residents 5 years ago, back when we had the topic of the extension at that time. So with this information that we just learned, a civil engineer who lives in Thunder Valley has proposed two alternative plans that were presented to our county attorney, Adam Nelson, last Thursday, May 15th. And I would like to present those to you guys and for the record. And as you look at those, I've highlighted the plans for your, so you can see those roads easier. And as you will look at those plans, both of those show access from Highway 44 into the development, while Scott Road does not connect to Riverside Drive. So there's no traffic into the roads of Thunder and Riverside for either one of these plans.
And again, I want to reiterate to everyone in this room, we are not opposing the development at all. We are opposing the commercial traffic on our roads. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the list is Tom Parham. Tom?
Good evening, Mr. Commissioner. Would you pass that? I believe you've got everything you need in front of you to protect our residential neighborhood. Let's face it, this always boils down to profit. The developer says there's no other solutions, and yet there's been many presented. By his own admission, they just don't meet his profit objectives. We have the 95 zoning condition. The developer says it's ambiguous. But remember, Mr. Clack lived in our subdivision. He knew the residents. We have residents there that knew Mr. Clack. And there's no doubt as to his intent. Excuse me. He wanted to protect his neighborhood. The developer says, we didn't know about the zoning conditions because they wasn't on the zoning map. But we found them. They're readily available to the public online in the county's online GIS map. The developer says, I didn't know. But then chapter 66, zoning article 2 states the property owner has an obligation to know the conditions applied by the BOC when the property was rezoned. The developer says, I'm going to connect Riverside and Thunder Road, and yet code section 2865 states street extensions should connect developments of similar uses only. Yeah, but GDOT won't allow me more access off 44. But as Renee said, we call GDOT, and they say we will allow access as long as we meet the 230-foot driveway spacing requirement. But GDOT is forcing me to connect Scott Road into Riverside. We call GDOT, and they say that's not the case. Everybody acknowledges that Thunder Valley's current roads can't handle the incremental traffic. Code section 2865 states that if additional traffic volume exceeds the specs of the existing streets, you may deny access. No, what this all boils down to is profits. It's cheaper to use the existing county assets and roads, and we're not willing to give up a few feet of our resellable land to build internal roads. And unfortunately, it seems we're willing to decimate a residential community in the process. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And finally on the list is, I think it's Brenda Burgess, is that correct? Oh, Brandon, it's not Brenda.
Terrible handwriting. Well, thank you for being here tonight, and I want a couple of things. The retention pond that's on that property will be a detention pond, but it will be heavily screened, fenced, landscaped, better than what's there now. Now the lot's vacant, falls off. All the crepe myrtles, magnolia trees that's all there, they'll remain intact. So I don't think that would be an adverse reaction to the property there. That lot's too small when DOT takes it to build a home on, so I'm gonna keep the green space like it is now. I had a call with DOT on Thursday. I have a standing call every 2 weeks, and I specifically asked him to send their minutes. We can show that with you with Mr. Collins. And I asked him to propose another curb cut on that road, and his response was, that's a limited access area. We will not allow any more curb cuts there. The existing curb cut that's there now that I'm using for construction entrance will be removed. And the reason why is there'll be a right turn out of Thunder Road. The way the roads are sweeping over with the grades in that area and with the Scott Road extension, it will not be allowed. That was Thursday. We met on Monday. So maybe something changed that you look at after you talk. Nonetheless, DOT is their own animal. I meet with them every 2 weeks about this project. That is their recommendation. If you go back far enough on every piece of property that's ever been zoned, you'll find something that's more strict than what it is now. Every property we've got, like we just said, has been zoned to ag. There's commercial buildings, there's residential buildings, there's always something, but eventually that changes. and that's where we are now. The property's been zoned commercial. I'm asking for no variances, conditions, anything else other than building what's there. It wasn't a problem until it was bought, and it can be sold if somebody wants to buy it and keep it green space. Sorry, thanks for your time.
Thank you. And that concludes all of the public comments. Moving along to item number 10, the consent agenda. Today, let's see if this applies to others, okay? The consent agenda consists of approval of minutes from May the 2nd, 2025, the regular business meeting. Approval of minutes May the 2nd, the executive session. Approval of minutes May 13th, the call meeting. Approval of minutes May 13th, executive session. And finally, item E is authorization for the chairman to sign the GDOT FTA 5311 FY 2026 operating small and large capital and mobility management contract. The project number is T008349, and that is just an annual contract. Does anyone want to remove any of those, or if it's good, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, I'll read the motion again. It's to approve the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
So just in layman's terms, could you just explain item E?
I will call on, since this is my first time seeing that, I'll call on our county manager to explain.
You're talking about 5311 funds. That's the funding we get to operate the bus, the transit buses. So they allocate, I think it was $100,000 or just on top of my head, I forget the number, but that we renew it every year. It's a budgeted number, budget night.
And that's from GDOT. Thank you.
Is there others? I'm sorry, I didn't hear. $185,506. Hearing none, then we will call for the question and ask for a vote. Again, you're voting to approve the consent agenda consisting of approval of minutes from May the 2nd, 2025 regular business meeting, approval of minutes May the 2nd, 2025 executive session, approval of minutes May 13th, 2025 the call meeting, D, approval of minutes May 13th executive session, and finally authorization for the chairman to sign the GDOT FTA 5311 FY 2026 operating small and large capital and mobility management contract. The project number is T008349. Vote electronically. Voting is complete. Districts 1, 2, 3, and 4 vote aye. The consent agenda is approved, and I'll be happy to sign the contract. Next on the list is item number 11. It's approval of SPLOST 10 project list. And we have a number of people. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people are signed in to speak on that. And I'll call them by order. In order, Billy Webster signed up first. Billy, you got 3 minutes.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners, staff. Thank you for this opportunity to comment on the SPLOST number 10 project list. Isn't it kind of ironic that we have had 3 town hall meetings on the Goodwill project that y'all have had no authority over, where citizens were allowed to have untimed comments and present questions in which they actually received answers. Yet here we are tonight with a $45 million SPLOST number 10 agenda item covering 10 county departments and approximately 63 individual project requests. And we are only given 3 minutes to comment with no response. For that reason, I forwarded an email yesterday to all of you with some of my comments and questions. I don't plan on repeating all of that was in that email, but would like to comment briefly on that email for the benefit of tonight's audience. Lynn, if I might have the first picture, please. With all due respect to Keith Zilder, I want to make a comment about his facility. This was the old National Guard Armory, and the Extension Service occupies the left-hand side of the gym, which is the center portion, and EPSWA occupies the right side of that particular building. And I guess my question was, if the left-hand side has become so uninhabitable that we have to spend $2.5 million to build a new building, is EPSWA now under some type of a problem area as well? That's a very substantial building, by the way, probably a storm refuge if necessary. And I just wonder if maybe we could look at refurbishing the inside of that building to bring it up to livable standards. And maybe EPSWA might be willing to partner in that endeavor and refurbish the entire building. Normally we find you can refurbish the inside of a building cheaper than you can build one. I ask that you at least consider that before you spend $2.5 million building a new one. Regarding the $750,000 for the pickleball court, have y'all considered perhaps repurposing a vacant existing building? And I'm referring to, this is the, on Oak Street, right across from the Tasty Chick, right by the Pizza Hut, and CVS occupies part of it. I think that was an old grocery store at one time. Somebody said, I think it might have been, I don't remember what the name was. Piggly Wiggly. Piggly Wiggly, there you go. What if you went inside there and made that the new pickleball inside court? You're proposing $750,000 for an outdoor court, which means rain, snow, cold with limit. Here you can play at night, when it's raining, whenever. I don't think it'd take much to repurpose that building.
Your time is up. I know that it come off the screen, I heard it.
Thank you. By the way, I had a lot more. It would have been nice if we could have had a little bit more time on this type of project.
Next on the list is Keith Zilder. Keith?
Dan, could you bring the pictures, please? In all due respect to former Chairman Webster, that was a 300-foot view he showed of that building. When you get closer, it gets ugly, and I'm going to show you ugly. What you see here is the roof inside the gym portion. It literally is rotting from rainfall penetrating through. Those are concrete blocks up there that are starting to shed, literally handfuls of concrete. Next picture, please. And it's all the way around the inside like that. That is the women's bathroom. You can see water streaks running down the wall every time it rains. Next picture, please. That is my meeting room from the inside. You can see the stains on the wall and the concrete block delaminating there. Next picture. Little up close shot there. The concrete block literally are rotting and falling apart. Next picture. Another shot down the wall. Next picture. That is another place in the wall that fills up with water every time it rains, soaks the concrete block, and they literally are delaminating. Next picture. That is the poster that was hanging on the wall at that place as of the last rain. Next picture. That is the main load-bearing beam out front of the building. As you can see, it has no support. Next picture. That is the exterior side of the wall that we talked about from my meeting room. And if it looks like it's bulging, it's because it is. The mortar in those joints is rotted out from water hanging in it forever and ever, and that is a considerable distance down that wall. Mortar joints are rotting out all the way around it. Next picture, Lynn. And typically in the corner of each window, you can see the lintel, which is a 1/2-inch piece of carbon steel, over the past 60 years has eroded due to rust and reaction with the carbon in that mortar mix. And all those joints have mortar falling out of them, and the bricks are decaying as well. Any more pictures? I can't remember if there was another one or not.
That's the last one.
All right. With that, I'll rest my case, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Keith.
Next on the list is Jennifer Ray.
Lynn, can you put up the public works picture? The two buildings, please. That Billy sent you?
On Mr. Webster?
Yeah. I'll wait for the picture. Okay, that's that one. We'll put to that one in a second. Okay, so I am going to take place where Mr. Webster left off. Lastly, the amount of funds allocated to public works is the 9th lowest of 10 departments. Not picking on the golf course, but how is golf course being allocated more than our public works department? The amount allocated to the roads is less than $77,000 a year. Recall also that all identified SLOST funds must be used for capital outlay projects only. And there's some on that list do not meet that definition. And that is the public works building. If you go back to the storage building, the head of public works, that's his office.
Yeah.
That's his office. So I want to call that out. And I got more time because that's all it is. But I do want to say that my father is a 3rd generation Mason. So my dad took me to jobs from the time I was 4 years old. And I know that it might seem like that building was the worst in the world, but you can refurbish a building a lot more than $2.5 million is insane. And I agree that we should look at the cost of refurbishing what we have, seeing if EPSWA would partner before we just try to flush everything away. And there's a reason people go to brick buildings when there's tornadoes. And it's not because all the joints are falling out of the mortars and the building's gonna fall down. So I just wanna say that, thanks.
Beautiful. Next on the list is Bill Vargo.
Thanks, let me speak again, but first off, we got approved SPOS 10 before we spend money for it, right? It hasn't been put on the ballot yet. That being said, I'd like to see a little more responsibility, and I see a lot of overspending here, or wishing, I guess you want to call it, in a lot of these departments. I don't mean to pick on anybody in particular, but the pickleball courts, that's a little bit outrageous, I think, amount of money to spend on that many courts. I believe I was told we had 11 tennis courts that are setting and nobody uses anymore. I think it'd be a little bit more cost effective to remodel a couple of them, maybe coat them and get them in shape to use them as pickleball courts. Then if these people show that, or that group shows that they're being used and they need more space, then provide some more. But let's wait and see what happens in that aspect. As far as the golf course, the Coney Springs Park, Jimmy Davis Park, we got three entities right there losing money every year, and we keep dumping a lot of money in them. I think we ought to just set back on spending a lot of added expenses on them, maintain them, keep them going, and get them turning a cash revenue profit before we start dumping millions and millions more in. All those facilities are limited on how much room they have and how much they can do. I don't know how much more you can put in the Coney Springs Park, maybe a couple more of those campers units, but the golf course, it isn't going to be an 18-hole course, never ever. There's no room for it. So there's got to be a limit to what you can put in these places and effectively see a profit on them. I mean, we got three money losers right there. We got to cut the bleed. Put the money where it's needed, not wanted. I could see him doing a lot of improvements all over the places. That'd be great. But if they're not making money, the money's going a long way, it doesn't make any sense to keep throwing money after them. Jeff Wooten ought to know, it'd be like nursing a cow that's on a deathbed, right, Jeff? You don't keep nursing it, you take care of business. And, that's what I'd like to see you guys use a little bit of common sense and responsibility in spending this money. And use it where it's needed, like Jennifer Ray said, there's some roads out there that need work. I don't see $2 million worth of repairs to be done to the building we were talking about versus spending $2 million on a new one. So let's be conservative on our spending, guys. Put it where we need it, not where we necessarily want it, because it looks good. So, thanks for your time, and I hope you take that into consideration.
Thank you, Ed. Next is Barb Fargo. Barb?
I agree about trying to renovate the county extension office. Why would I think that? Because I'm looking at our public building, and I know what we've got to do here, and it's the same thing. I mean, if we're going to do anything, why is this an admin building not being completely done? I've seen peak walls on here just as bad as what was there at the extension office, and if we can fix this, we can fix that. I mean, in all seriousness, I think we ought to watch the budget there. The golf course, we gotta watch what we're doing there. I know that he's put a little bit more into it, and, you know, we've gotten better at it, but it's got a lot to be. The sheriff's office, I really do not think $9 million is gonna renovate that. I think we're gonna have to think a lot about that, and I have to agree with the pickleball. If we're gonna have to have pickleball, you know, why don't we find the building or use some of the tennis courts? Pickleball to me is just like roller skating. It's gonna be just like the tennis courts were. It's here today, and in 20 years, it's gone. So that's all I have to say is we got to look at what we're doing in Splash 10.
Thank you, Barb. And the next speaker is going to be on 13, so we'll move along. And item number 11, approval of SPLOST 10 projects list. And I will call on Paul to talk about the information on this item.
Okay. So after all the departments and hospital and folks made their presentation last week, well, jump down to the financial part, just jump down to the spreadsheet that Linda yeah, can you get both of those home? Okay. Go scroll to the bottom for a second, just. All right, so last year when we tried this, there was a lot of concern about the amount of revenue generated. As it turns out, this new estimate is an increase of over 6%, roughly generating $1.2 million than was previously estimated. We have several projects listed by the folks that were here, and just it was a big concern last time that the estimates were not correct. The estimates turned out to be correct, and actually $1 million more than what we had thought. So if you go back to the top of the list with the hospital on top. Yeah, scroll that down. Or can you downsize that just a little? So I apologize for this eye test, but the hospital provided this list. And the commission is very supportive of the hospital. They were looking to help them generate revenue. And with the selections that I pulled from the list to help the hospital get what they want. These things were ranked in order of need. We added the mammography machine, hoping that would help generate revenue for the hospital. You can read these devices, what the commissioner decided not to fund, or what I didn't put on the list for this body was the beds, patient tables, chairs. There was more of a focus to get to $3.694 million for the hospital to help them hopefully become profitable, or to at least mitigate losing as much money as they had in the past. I know Commissioner McElhaney and Commissioner Garrett attend the hospital authority meetings. Last year, the hospital was slated for 3.6 million, now they're getting 3.694 million. So are there any questions? You heard the doc at the hospital make his presentation, you heard what they had to say. They are trying to focus more on being profitable than coming here complaining about indigent. So if there's any questions on this one, we can move to the next one. And this is just a draft. I mean, this is the final draft. I've talked to a lot of folks, or listened to a lot of folks at the first meeting with respect to the folks that made their presentation. This is up to any edits, additions, deletions you want. At the end of all this, I will ask you, when would you like to have the final list done with our stuff and the cities to get fully cooked from there on out? So that'll be the question at the end of the day. Take it home, study it, make decisions, see what you want to add, subtract, delete. But this gets us to the amount of money we have allocated to spend. That being said, scroll down to the recreation department. Right here. So they have requests for lighting at the pool rec center, Jimmy Davis Park, pickleball, a new gym floor, new bleachers, some playground equipment, restroom facilities, adding to the existing playground, picnic tables, grill, landscaping, and ball field fencing. And those are the recreation department's request. So next slide. So the golf course, yes, it is a lot of money. I'm trying to figure out if I want the golf course to be around, then they need to water the course. It's that simple. We can't invest money without subsequently taking care of it. Everything else, you're more than welcome to discuss. The maintenance building, Michael was right. If we had a high dollar equipment out there, then it needs to be kept out of the weather. He's looking for a gator, a greens roller, a reel grinder, and a bed knife grinder. They sharpen blades on stuff. A Coyote tractor, new sod for the collars, and new sod and sand for the fairways. I think I put just a sod for the collars. So yes, his equipment, irrigation is first and foremost out there. If it's going to be a golf course, then it needs water. So public works, yes, they do not have a large amount, and I will tell you that roads will more than likely be on T-Splosh number 3. The statement Ms. Ray made was correct. There is 460 miles of road. T-Splosh number 1, which we did 5 years ago or so, we did 100 miles of road. This year we have 74 on the list with another 20. So there'll be another 100 miles of road in this cycle. I think that's good management by trying to touch every road in a 20-year life cycle. The additional 60 miles will probably be done in-house, and they'll be short run cul-de-sacs that E.R. Snell's asphalt plant will be happy to provide us with asphalt. So we will do short runs, but to touch each road in a 20-year cycle, roughly works. So that's why we'll be coming back at a point in time to try to get T-Splosh number 3, but the road number for them would just be loads of asphalt. Will it go up? Probably. Will the cost of things change? Yes. Do I expect the Splosh 10 numbers to increase? Yes. So, and then we'll go to the next one. The county extension office, it's pretty apparent where it needs to go. That building is falling down around it, and quite honestly, I believe Epswell would take it and do something with it for their stuff. Oconee Springs Park, do they need a new building out there? Yes. The building was roughly $1.5 million. It's estimated to be $500 a square foot. You build to that number. Public buildings, yes, we need air conditioners, we need roofs, we have building issues. That's kind of every year we know we have big costs with the things it takes to operate the courthouse, this building, sheriff's office, and the buildings around the county. And again, this is 6 years down the road from today. So the next one is the sheriff's one. We do have a tier 1 jail renovation project at $9.1 million. Could it be more? Yes. We won't know until we get into that building to know what has to go, what needs to be changed. And also, that being such an important project, if things are dire enough, then we change priorities and we do projects later. So first and foremost, the jail project is extremely important, and I am pretty certain that it will be done no matter what, and it has to be. The next one is vehicle replacements. We typically tear up a couple cars, deer run into them. Every season we lose a couple, so it's not, it's an $80,000 expense with lights and everything else in the vehicle and the police stuff on it, so. The next one is EMS. EMS is pretty standard, 1 ambulance a year. We just hope we don't tear any up or get in an accident because the lead times are what they are. And you can see Brad's number up there at 2.4. Here's the big one, fire service. Fire service, we have a debt service payment, just so you all know, on the aerial truck. We pay $160,000 a year for 10 years at the end of the lease we own it. That's what that first one is. We are ordering trucks this year for stuff that we will receive 4 years out, 5 years out. And the cost is with escalation, and we are growing. It's a function of growth. It's a function of our county getting bigger, more people are coming in, we have more needs. And now that it's taking 4 years to get a vehicle, we're purchasing them in 2027, 2029, 2031, and we will receive them in 2031, 2033, 2035. We do have a new aerial truck on there because the other one will be 10 years old. We can rotate that to a backup service. With the development coming in, for any of you that were at the meeting this morning with the chamber, you heard from the folks in economic development, PDA, and was chamber of what was out there and what's coming. So one of the things I mentioned this morning, which has the chief and I a little concerned, that there may be a chemical plant coming on, and we don't have the capability or the training right now for that hazmat material for the new chemical plant. We don't know what the chemicals are, so we are paying attention to that, and that's why we put these things on here. So there will be vehicle replacements in the next 6 years, kind of normal for such wear and tear kind of vehicles. They don't go anywhere slow or safe, or slow and steady like normal driving. They are driving to get somewhere. And the last item in there is to construct living quarters, however small they are, because we're going to take one of those current stations and make it a full-time station eventually. The chief has a list of stations based on call volume that he wouldn't mind putting personnel out there to cut down on response times. Last but not least is animal services. Animal services needs a roof replacement, and they will need 2 pickup trucks and 2 animal boxes in the next 6 years. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
No questions? Commissioner Murphy?
I've got a lot of questions, Paul. And my first and general question is, why haven't we calculated these numbers to the 3rd decimal place?
I'm sorry, I didn't. Can you say that again?
This is silly.
He's being facetious.
We should round these numbers up because all of it is kind of a guess anyway. So let's at least use some round figures.
So if you were to look at just animal services, you can see it's $100,000 was cost, estimated cost over some stuff was 105, and that was the lowest number, because I figured we'd do that. Look up at the fire department side, and you can see that I picked some from the left side and picked some.
Could you let me finish my? The estimates vary. I mean, some like the animal services have very low escalating costs due to inflation, whereas recreation has like 22% inflationary effect on it. All of these things are guesses. So why don't we just round things off and let them play out? And to do that, and I've worked through some numbers, which I can provide you with, but basically instead of saying that we're going to generate 45, 678, 706, why don't we just round it up to 45.7? If we do that, and should the jail project, we have no idea what it's going to cost. We've heard various scenarios. One scenario is to try to purchase the EMC building and before renovating the existing jail building. Again, let's just round that up to $10,000, to $10 million. I mean, you know, it's a pure guess anyway. But if we do that kind of rounding, then we end up with a county share of approximately $24,633,000. Right? I have gone through these various scenarios and rounded up some of them. I don't know how to account for inflationary increases. You say over 6 years it's going to cost this much more than current cost. Yes, it probably will. But if we round these things off, I can come up with a maximum expenditure, if you will, of $23,570,750, which leaves approximately a little over $1 million to distribute amongst all of the various categories. And this does include the $200,000 for the animal services that were added in the last couple of days. But anyway, I just don't see taking these things to the nearest penny kind of calculations. I mean, if we have $1 million in excess of what I'm recommending for various projects and departments, it'll be up to the board how to distribute that, but I certainly would like to see more money put into public works in terms of the roads, not necessarily in terms of their equipment. Let me also point out that the calculations shows $907,000 approximately for the public works things, but if you add up all the allocations, it's only $700,000.
That was the 200 to animal services. That's where that came out of. I put that in there when I was doing the first draft because that animal services page didn't carry over.
So really, Public Works is only getting $770,000 and not $900,000. So why don't we put more money into their roads? You've got $260,000 for roads, and that is, as far as I'm concerned, the number one priority of the county commission is to maintain roads. We have seen that there are some roads, particularly in subdivisions, that are deteriorating to the point of being almost impassable.
$260,000 over 6 years is not a whole lot of money, considering the fact that we just put $300,000 into an asphalt paver. Let's use it. Let's put some more money into, $260,000, what's that gonna, maybe 1.5 miles of roads, is that gonna pave? I mean, even with in-house doing it. So, anyway, my main concern, and let me just say, you know, I'm comfortable with allocating most of the recommended amounts. I'd like to see them rounded. I'd like to see us not necessarily inflate the numbers for anticipated increases down the line. I know the fire chief has said, well, they're talking about 10% per annual increases in the cost of the equipment unless we pay for it now. We don't know that 6% is going to be the right number for the increase in our annual revenues. It might be 8%, it might be 4%. I don't know, and nobody can actually project that. So let's just anticipate that the increase in costs of most of these projects are going to be similar, if not identical, to the increases in the revenues. We do know that once we allocate a project, we have to complete it, unless there is some outstanding reason why we can't. But if we don't have the money to complete all of these projects, we can carry them over into SPOS number 11 to complete them. But we have to complete them, but we don't have to do it necessarily with the funding in SPOS 10. So I guess my biggest issue would be to thank you, Paul, and staff for delineating the projects that are going to be funded. I mean, this is so much better than the original SPOS number 10, where we just had big numbers associated with different departments. At least here, the public knows what their dollars are going to be spent for. But I would like to see these things rounded off. And some of the projected increases over the 6-year period eliminated or at least reduced, so that we allow for the increase in revenues that we anticipate to increase in the same manner as the increase in costs of the various projects. And I would then ask the chairman if we could take a 5-minute recess.
Let me ask if there's other questions.
I just want to clarify on something with the public works, the roads and everything. When you say the roads, that is, and I know that y'all have been very busy replacing culverts. That is in the roads. It's not, when you say roads, it's just not paving roads. It's trimming the sides of the roads. Like, I got a very remote district that got limbs hanging over the roads and they really can't get to them. They're doing the best they can to get to them now because of the floods and rains that we've been having. You had to replace a bunch of culverts here and stuff like that. Is that the roads? Is that included in what you got in for the roads?
So yes, sir. So when I did the road piece, it is typically ditch pipes. It is typically solar signs, regular signs, stuff like that. Now, hardcore paving is not gonna be in there to be in the T-Splosh number. We have been migrating away from that since T-Splosh 1, T-Splosh 2. So the paving dollars would come out of that account primarily, so long as it continues. If it doesn't, then of course we shift. But I like Commissioner Herz's idea of rounding up. Well, okay, we can round up to assume that we will grow at $1 million or split the difference, $500,000 for the 6 years versus $1 million a year over 6 years. Take all that money, put it in a road account. I mean, and then we'll do paving out of that account, or we just have a subsection for paving or whatever. But yeah, there's a lot of different ways, and that's what we're talking about. Yes, we need stuff. To Ms. Ray's point, yeah, the roads that we paved in T-Splosh 2 were selected in 2021, and we're paving them today. That road she showed is a full depth reclamation road at probably $500,000 to $800,000 a mile. That's a little more than 200,000. That is something that would definitely need to be budgeted for. Yeah, I agree, it's in bad shape. And if T-Splosh 3 comes to pass, there'll be another 100 miles of road on it. Then T-Splosh 4 will be another 100 miles of road on it. Then we start all over again. But that's the way we try to manage the roads. Yeah, I'd love to pave them all tomorrow. The reality is we have a finite pot of money. The commissioners made their choices in 2021, and we're executing them today. The contracts have been let for the big project. We have another smaller project where the roads have been identified that we're going to pave more. That project will be on the street, and our initial value was $2.4 million. So yeah, we're going to use the money we have in the GO bond account to pave roads. If it works out and there's more left after this, we get good prices, asphalt's coming down, fuel's coming down, gas is coming down. That's all good news for us. So we'll see if there's another opportunity to hit those. And then that's a commissioner decision to put it out there and say, go knock it out. But these decisions don't happen overnight. We're terrible at reacting fast for paving. And I'm sorry to the public, but I could spend every nickel we'd ever get for 5 years paving roads. But it's a balancing act. And to the point that was made earlier, well, they don't make money. Well, neither does Howard, neither does the court system, neither does EMS, and neither does fire. So to be fair, you want those things. So it's a quality of life issue, and that's not necessarily quantity. But yeah, do I agree with her? Of course. Do I agree we need everything on the list? Well, to a point, you gotta have it. It's gonna either be a pay me now or pay me later. You all know what the development looks like. You all know what growth looks like. As of today, what, 2,400 houses on the books? You know, 2.5 people per house. There you go, figure it out. So yeah, we're growing. Traffic isn't getting any easier.
I just wanted to say that's a good idea on the way that Public Works and you and Tony are going about it, Anthony are going about it, is the big roads, let Pittman do it or let a contractor do it. But these little roads that now that we don't have a paver, go ahead, we can take those out and save a lot of money on these small little roads. Then, like I said, you just can't get to the road tomorrow just because you want it tomorrow. Now, some of the roads that I mentioned tonight are on the list. It's just a matter of getting to it.
It's just a time and money thing. And like I said, you guys made these decisions 2021. And we're just completing some of these roads.
I have a question, and it's more of a clarification. And on SPLOST 10 projects, I don't believe that we need to vote on this tonight. I think that the input that we're getting right now, each commissioner will have an opportunity to come back and give you information. And I don't believe we're going to really ask to vote on the SPLOST 10 projects because we're not quite fine-tuned. Is that correct?
You're totally correct. And what I said earlier was, when would you like the final list from us in the city to be in front of you? So you can bless it and get it to Kim and the elections board.
So what we're doing here tonight is giving, authorizing to move forward and to sharpen up whatever we need to do. And then the date we need is when? Let's set that date now. What's our drop dead date?
I'd love it in the next 45 days, 30 or 45 days, so we could at least have it available for the summer. Let the public look at it, make their choice, get it to Kim. I believe she needs it either mid-August or early September to build the ballot and all that stuff. So I would say that mid-August is probably the big number. But to get all your stuff together, to tell the city, look, you gotta have it wrapped up and back to us. The one thing I did fail to mention is the hospital number, to Mr. Hershey's point, or Commissioner Hershey's point earlier. If we put something on the list and don't pay for it, we're obligated to fully fund it in the next SPOS or out of general fund. To make certain we don't run into that issue with the hospital, because we did, I think when you were chairman, we owed them $1 million when the economy tanked. The language I would like on the ballot is that Putnam General Hospital would receive X number percent of the gross not to exceed 3.694 million. So that guarantees that they will collect that 3% no matter what. And if the economy, to your point, goes crazy, that's it. They're guaranteed that amount up to that maximum. And if they don't get to that maximum, they get the percentage. So that protects us from a catastrophic economic downturn where we could possibly owe $1 million, $2 million, 7, 8 years from now. So, who's next?
I appreciate all those clarifications, and I agree that the only reason government exists is to fund things that are not commercially viable. We shouldn't always expect everything to make profit. But there are some, I forget the term, enterprise funds like Coney Springs Park, where the goal is certainly not to lose money. And I know we're moving in the right direction with the golf course and Coney Springs Park along those lines. But most things, they're not supposed to make money, and that's why we fund them with tax dollars. I appreciate the clarification on timing. I thought we were about to vote, and I'm glad that we're not about to vote. But since we do have more time, and since there is interest in the public, and since we don't want to end up in the situation we ended up in last year with a lot of discontent and confusion about what we were planning and what we weren't planning, I would like to make a motion that we do schedule at least one opportunity for a town hall about SPLOST 10 projects where we can have dialogue. People do feel like their point of view has been responded to. I just think it's good practice in general, and in this particular case, given the size of the expenditure and given the trouble we had last time, I think it would be a smart thing for us to do.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, the motion on the floor is to move forward and have a town hall meeting. You want to say when?
Well, you said 45 days would be your ideal for getting a semi-final list that we would vote on, but
Definitely final.
definitely final. Okay, so I would say early June. I mean, let's find the date, but
I know you guys work, so you want to attach it to the June 6th meeting. You want to have it either, immediately following the BOC meeting?
That would be great with me.
yeah, I think let's have it after, not before. Is that what you're saying?
After,
Yes. So it's a little more argumentative. That would be great.
June 6th.
Yes.
That's the Friday. The first meeting, okay, the motion is to have a town hall meeting after our regular meeting on June, the first Friday in June. I believe that's the 6th. Second that motion.
I second that motion.
We have a motion and second. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, I'll have a verbal vote on this. Or can I do it on?
You do one.
We'll do a verbal vote. How do you vote, District 1?
Aye.
2?
Aye.
3?
Aye.
District?
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries, and we will have a meeting after on the June the 6th. Right now, I'm going to declare a 10-minute break for.
Could we, just as a correction to Paul, I believe that Kim needs to start advertising the referendum by the 1st of August.
Oh, 1st of August.
So we would need to have the final list prior to that, together with the city's list. So you want to pick a date? I don't know. We've got
End of June. That gives you 35 days.
We only meet one time in July.
Yeah.
Last meeting.
So 1st of June is Friday the 6th.
Yeah.
We have the town hall and then,
Tell me what's what.
and then we have the final on the
Second meeting in June.
17.
second, on the 17th.
Are y'all good with that?
Everybody go with that? I don't think we need a motion for that, do we?
No, we don't need a motion for it.
I just say we're gonna finalize it at 17.
Okay.
Very good. Now then, I declare a 10-minute break for Commissioner Hershey here. He has scored, and I'm sorry, we didn't get it quicker.
Lynn, can you, Lynn, can you mute everything, or do I? I just, okay. Thank you so much.